Well, let's just get into it then.
Yeah, no doubt. We rolling?
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
let's do it. But, like I was saying though, before we started recording, that some of those shows that I've watched, I've noticed when they've been offset or like mobile somewhere set up, they're using different equipment. It definitely throws the sound, the audio off some. So
Not as clean as when they're in studio.
right,
Yeah, I've
you
noticed
definitely
that.
can tell the difference.
Yeah, I've noticed that also. So there's something
Yeah.
that we just keep working on.
Yep. We'll
Keep tweaking it.
keep tweaking it.
But yeah, it's
getting
definitely
better.
it's definitely an improvement right now. Over
Yeah.
Last week's.
Yeah, it just sounded hollow, you know. Like, yeah.
Yeah, almost like I said, like you're talking through a cardboard too.
Yeah.
Kind of that. Yeah.
Well, hopefully this is a little easier listening.
Oh, I'm sure. What do you want to talk about?
Oh man, I don't know. Pick one. God, there's so
Pick
much. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start.
What do you think about the banks?
Oh, this has kind of tortured me because, I had my initial reaction to it, which was just, no way, do not give them a penny. But I've actually entertained arguments back and forth on both sides and really taken some time to think about it. I'll tell you this, it sickens me that yet again, the rich is getting bailed out. There's no consequences for the decisions they're making. And this is, I think what bugged me the most was a couple months ago, me and you were debating it, kicking it back and forth on the student loan forgiveness, right? And this is my whole point. That this was exactly what I meant when I said, look, they can help people. And I understand some of these people are doctors, they're getting $10,000 of their student loans forgiven. Do they need it? Maybe not. But then it was gonna, cost a significant amount of money to forgive this debt. And the minute they announce that they want to do this for the American people, and I'm exaggerating here a little bit, but 300 Republicans run out and file lawsuits to stop this. We have Ohio with this just disaster that they're dealing with down there. Biden jumps on a plane, $50 million more dollars or $50 billion more dollars to the Ukraine. Weeks go by before they're really doing anything to help these people in Ohio. This banking issue happens and they solve it over a weekend. Where's the 300 lawsuits about this that was unconstitutional? It's the same thing. He's ruling by decree, just allocating money that he didn't have the right to do. No one had a chance to debate this, vote on it. Like, where's all the lawsuits? And it just, I understood your point about people who made different decisions with their student loans and either paid as they went or they didn't borrow as much. Worked hard, got Pell Grants, and paid their stuff off, and now that they're going to have to pay higher taxes for people who made different decisions, and how unfair that seems. And yeah, it does on its face, but my point was, it's not like if they don't use that money for the student loans that they're just going to lower the spending of the government. They're just going to spend it somewhere else. And they did. They give it to the Ukraine. Now they're giving it to banking. Like, it never stops. They just print more or digitally create it now, right? And then we all pay for it, either in higher taxes or in inflation, the price of everything going up. I think in the end, I fell on the side of we should have not bailed them out. They should have gotten their $250,000 that was insured. And then anything above that, like, because, they had the ability to move their money around and to put smaller amounts in multiple accounts so that it was all insured. there was a lot. The more I've looked into this, it seems like a lot of corruption. They were giving a lot of money to wokey stuff. It was over what, $70 million or something they donated to Black Lives Matter. They were doing a lot of risky behaviors. They didn't even have a risk manager, but they had, a diversity manager there. You know what I mean? So if the bank was making bad decisions like this, let it fail. Because I'm looking back, we bailed out big banks, we bailed out Wall Street, we bailed out the auto industry, we bailed out GM. What are they doing right now? They're getting rid of most of their management team, and then they're going to backfill all that work on the managers that's left to build products that half the country doesn't even want. So why are we funding this? It's kind of where I'm stepping back going, this is unfair on a lot of levels. No, I don't want the whole banking system to crash, but isn't it going to anyways? No.
It sure feels like there's some momentum going in that direction, right?
Yeah, and then you start seeing bank after bank after bank start going, and then, and you've seen when they were interviewed about, smaller banks, like, I brought up Ohio because had this been a bank in Ohio that, was dealt with the farming industry a lot, would Biden have, worked all weekend to get that solved right away? Like, they solved this thing in a couple of hours, like instant.
Do you think it's because it was there were a lot of wealthy people invested there or had money there, so they had ties to Washington?
Absolutely. Now it just come out. Now it's getting reported that Gavin Newsom had a bunch of money in there, and he was lobbying Biden. The governor of California, he was lobbying Biden to get this done. I absolutely think it was. There would have been no fire lit under. They would have been debating it. Well, should we? Shouldn't we? I don't know. Let's talk about it on the floor. Had it been a bank in the Corn Belt, I really don't believe they would have handled it this way. They said as much. They would, because they were asked. The administration was asked about it later. And they said, well, we would take it a case by case basis, and we'd look at it and see. They wouldn't even say that had it been a smaller bank, would they have bailed them out? So, and I get it. I'm torn because wealth creates jobs, right? It's wealthy. I don't want to punish wealthy people. Wealthy people create businesses. They hire employees. They give people jobs who spend money, who gives other people jobs. It's a cycle. I get it. But sometimes it seems like it's tipped so unfair, just a ridiculous amount in one direction that it leaves a really bitter taste in your mouth.
They don't. From what I'm reading here, they don't even know why exactly the bank failed.
No, and it was,
clear...
okay, there's a rabbit hole I did go down that they did it on purpose because they want to take control of the currency, to federalize it, right? Banking, not the currency, but banking itself. Like, it'll all be controlled by the federal government. What better way to do it than create a crisis that's not really a crisis? And I've heard arguments both ways that had we done nothing, it wouldn't have mattered. It would not. This bank wasn't like any other banks. It was panic that started the banking runs that was creating the stress in the system. I've heard other experts say, absolutely, had we let this go, like, this would have just chain reaction. But I think it's going that way anyways.
But how long have we been hearing too big to fail?
Right. Too big to fail. Too big to fail, How long are we going to keep... Why is it the working class people have to bail out rich people constantly?
Is it too big to fail because then we don't get donors' money?
That's what I think. I think
Like,
that's
who's that
why
grease the
Republicans
wheel?
weren't filing 1,000 lawsuits instantly saying, oh, that's, he doesn't have the constitutional authority to do that. Because this kind of stuff's supposed to be controlled by Congress. And honestly, I think it's because the Republicans are just as dirty, and they were getting phone calls all weekend long. They want their campaign contributions and their retirement padding. And so it is a corrupt system. There's not a doubt in my mind that the system's corrupt. A better system, I don't know. These are very difficult questions.
I don't know enough about banking to understand this.
What
It
I
doesn't even look
understood-
like they even understand.
No,
It collapsed. Or they have theories in here, but I
Right.
haven't seen. It could have been this. It could have been that. I saw one story. It could have been Trump rollbacks are the reason why.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit! Here we go.
the best one that I've heard that they were investing the bank gets money deposits, and this is Silicon Valley Bank, so it's dealing with a lot of companies that are tech companies, startup companies, again, who is given half the country products that they don't want, that's full of woke stuff that they disagree with, but they take that money and they invest it, and they give, you get your money back, they keep a percentage of the profit, whatever they can make on it. The government gets their kick, everybody's happy. But it was the way they invested it. They invested it in like a 10-year long, it's escaping me, it's not an equity, it's, anyways, it's a 10-year investment, and because inflation, once they started to raise interest rates, they were losing a little bit of money, but you technically only lose the money if you sell it. Had the bank just held on to it for 10 years, it would have cashed out, it would have been fine. But some wealthy people tried to pull all their money out, and this made them have to sell more, and then it got out and it created kind of this bank run and a chain reaction of, this is a way oversimplification of it because I'm not.
Well, it's kind of what this is
economist,
saying
but-
right here, and I'll read
yeah.
this, and it kind of mirrors what you're saying. It says, after the tech industry grew during the pandemic, SVB's clients deposited billions, bringing the bank from 60 billion in total deposits. I'm being so fun, just sitting here reading it so people
Yeah,
can see it.
let them see it.
In total, where was I? In total deposits at the end of the first quarter 2020 to nearly 200 billion 2 years later. While deposits came in, SVB invested in debt like U.S. Treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, but as the Federal Reserve began to increase interest rates to combat inflation, the value of SVB's investments fell. Higher interest rates also took a toll on SVB's clients. Startup funding began to dry up as private fundraising became more costly, causing its clients to withdraw funds. Amid the surge in withdrawals, SVB sold assets, including bonds that had lost value due to interest rate increase, which created a $1.8 billion in loss.
Yeah.
1.8 billion in losses.
Yeah, and this is what sickened me. Okay, so they were averaging
Still-
about 60 billion, and in 2 years it went from 60 billion to 200 billion. They had so much money. They were so irresponsible with the way they managed this. Why should working class people bail them out? Like, if you're look, these, I heard this described as the uber rich. Okay, uber rich. If you're not smart enough to hire an accountant to help you with your shit, you should be able to bury your money in real estate, buy an island somewhere,
I'm struggling with this line right here. Maybe someone in the comments can clear this up for me. Startup funding began to dry up as private fundraising became more costly, causing its clients to withdraw funds.
It's
I'm
an interesting
confused.
line.
I'm confused. I'd
And-
have to have someone break down for me how that works.
And I watched a breakdown on it, and it made sense for me to try to, like I said, I'm not an economist, so I'm not giving anyone any sort of advice, but it made sense to me when
It doesn't
broke
make
it
sense to
down.
me. It sounds like word soup almost. It's this vague excuse. I just don't know enough about it. Just on the surface as I'm reading it, I just don't.
But should we have, and it was funny because I got the message from you and said, wow, they it's funny how fast they can, find money when they want to. That didn't take no time. I mean, it was overnight, right? Overnight they had this done. Done over the weekend. So, you know what? Why is it when he does this stuff, there's no lawsuits filed? Why is it when they're attacking 2A, there's where are all the Republicans suing the administration over this? Like, we got some companies doing it, some pro 2A, constitutional
Groups
that are filing lawsuits to it just makes me sick. And I just think about the amount of just the country seems so weak right now, just not in a good way. Like, just everything seems bad.
You were talking about 2A thing, and last night on the news, on our local news, the news anchor, she was talking about the gun bans or the gun legislation they're pushing through right now in our state. And she said I wish I had the clip, but she said something to the effect that this will make it so that you have to register a gun. You have to have a background check to purchase a gun. This will ensure you have to have a background check to purchase a gun. That's implying that there's not a background check right now.
Right. Every gun, when you go in the store to purchase a firearm, or from any dealer, you do a background check.
This is where they manipulate, right?
Right.
Because what she's saying is this ensures that every person-to-person gun sale.
Yep.
Right.
So now, if you want to sell your shotgun to Uncle Fred, you got to have a background check done.
How does that work, though? How do they monitor this?
Right. For one. For two, how many mass shootings is done with Uncle Fred's shotgun? Right? Because when you sell a pistol, person to person,
you have to have
paperwork. This done, right?
But this is that manipulation of words, right? Because if you called them out on it, they'd say, well, we never said that.
Yep.
It was that you didn't have to have one done at a licensed dealer. We were saying that, we were just saying this ensures that every gun purchase is going to have a background check.
The reporter that did that report, and she went to Walmart and tried to buy a gun and get it right away and couldn't. And she's like shocked, like she had to do a background check. She really believed you didn't have to.
I think this person knows.
Oh, sure.
Maybe they're just reading off the teleprompter and they don't give a shit and they have no idea how it works. I have to believe this is the intentional manipulation of words to psychologically get people to believe that there are no background checks for gun purchases right now. Right. So then they get support for this. Well, it's common sense.
Yeah.
Why isn't there a background check?
Not to mention, like,
what I want to understand is how do they police this?
Yeah.
Because you said Uncle Fred's shotgun. Who's going to say that Uncle Fred didn't sell a shotgun to little Bobby, even though Bobby's 18 years old, right? His nephew. And they say, well, we did it in 2021.
Yeah.
So how do they...
How do you know?
Yeah.
Right? And come on. We all know what gun that they're targeting in this anyways.
And even if it is person to person with a handgun in this state, you have to have a background check.
Yeah. You know what? And look, you have these laws. Criminals don't obey laws.
Yeah.
They're not gonna. Last I knew, murder was illegal, and they're still doing it. So like pass whatever law you want. Like
It's not about that.
No.
That isn't even in the conversation.
No.
Anymore. Anybody that believes this is stop criminals.
Yeah, and you
It's
listen to
frickin'
the
delusional in the
argument
head.
with John Stewart had with that. I don't know if he's a congressman from Arizona or whatever, but it was just, it was ridiculous. Like, come on, you know, they're throwing out statistics about, you know, the leading cause of death for kids, and what they're not telling you, again, they're being very deceitful with the verbiage, is that they also include 18 and 19-year-olds in this, right, which are not children, and a big portion of that was gang violence, which this is not going to solve at all. And when they bring up the statistics of deaths, overall gun deaths, like I believe it was like 60% of them were
Let's find out before we
self-inflicted.
before we start just
Yeah.
throwing numbers here. We'll keep talking.
Yeah,
I'll
I
look this
believe
up.
it was 60% or 62% was self-inflicted, and they roll that into the numbers to make it sound more scary. Like all these people, and I'm not downplaying like someone's death, but you know, people hang themselves, they jump off bridges, that jump off buildings, walk in front of the subway. Like you're gonna figure it out. That's a different conversation. That's a mental health conversation to have. That doesn't belong in the violent, someone's attacking other people with a firearm conversation. You know, I mean, it's way inflating the numbers.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
I'll bring this. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. I'll bring this up so people can see it. 43% murder, 54%
54%.
suicide, 3% other.
Which is probably accidental, you know. So
And these are CDC numbers too.
Over half their numbers are, when they report this, is fake or deceitful. It's not fake because the people did die with a firearm, but that's not in a mass shooting, and that's the way they make this sound.
Well, even the mass shooting numbers are.
Inflated because anyone that's like, if 3 people or more get shot, they consider that a mass shooting. Well, then they get to inflate these numbers with all the gang violence, which isn't someone going into a shopping mall or a school or, you know, the Renaissance zone, you know, or the block party in downtown and just shooting people up randomly. These are violent criminals that are gonna. And look, the part I love about this background check is some criminal's gonna go and get a background check now to buy a firearm, right? The majority of these guns that these guys are using are stole. They're bought off the black market.
Mm-hmm.
They're not registered, and they're carrying it anyways. So, and this ain't gonna prevent a damn thing anyway. If anything, maybe they can trace it back to who owned the gun, right? Okay, maybe help you solve a crime, maybe, but it's not gonna prevent one.
No, because even under the assault weapons ban, 1994, right?
Yeah,
So the 1994 law barred the manufacture, transfer, and possession of about 118 firearm models and all magazines holding over 10 rounds. People who owned such weapons could keep it when the ban took effect. There were roughly 1 million assault weapons in private hands, and estimated 25 million weapons were equipped with large capacity magazines, right?
yeah,
Didn't Columbine happen in the middle of this ban?
yep,
Right?
yeah.
So what are we talking about here then?
So, and you know, I don't remember the kids' names, and you know what? I don't even want to repeat them anyways, even if I did. But weren't they like emulating the Matrix movie anyways? It was after, you know, the first Matrix movie come out, and you know, they were wearing the trench coats like Neo from the Matrix with the boots, and you know, isn't that as much to blame then as the gun? I mean, what about, okay, so let's talk about the cultural problems we're having. How I just have never heard an argument, a reasonable argument made of how punishing law-abiding citizens or making it harder for us to buy, and that's all this is to make it harder, more expensive, so that we're deterred from even trying to buy one, to protect ourselves, because we know that police cannot get to you right away in most cases. You're gonna have to take care of yourself. I want the ability to protect me and my family.
It's about control.
It's about control.
It's not about saving anybody.
Every time, if you look up, and you know, anyone that wants to argue this, do the research. Look up. Registration leads to confiscation every single time in history. Every country that's ever made their population register firearms confiscated them shortly thereafter. And that's what this is about. This is why now they're trying to implement technology and social media, that if you know you're taking pictures or videos of you out shooting, recreational shooting, tearing up some paper, they're trying to zoom in and get model numbers and serial numbers off the firearm so that they can roundabout register it to a person, even though, you know, and I'm like, how do you know if there's a group of people shooting? How do you even know who it belongs to? But yeah, this is just scary stuff. And you know what? Right now we got a huge amount of kids ODing and dying on fentanyl. Where's all the calls to shut the border down? You know, we're protecting Ukraine's border, but we're not protecting our own. You know, how much of this this gun violence, the statistics that they like to throw out at us all the time, is coming from violent criminals coming over the Mexican border, drug cartels. You know, we know that there's a tremendous amount of murders that's happening down there along the border. What about all the undocumented kids that are killed, getting, you know, or just stuck into sex slaves, or, you know, disappear, never to be heard from again? Because we really care about the kids, right? That's what this is all about. If it saves one child's life, well, how come every time someone tries to talk someone out of having an abortion to save one child's life, they want to burn a city down for it? What about that one child? And look, I'm just throwing the question out there. If this was truly about saving one child's life, there's a lot of children that's being hurt that we should be taking care of. And you don't hear these politicians whisper anything about it. No, they want to get on TV and grandstand about sending more money to the Ukraine. Let's assassinate, you know, Putin. You know, get on TV and call for the assassination of a president of another country. I don't know. And then now we're making him a war criminal and issued an arrest warrant for him. That should be interesting to see how this is going to go now.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. I think this is all about control. I think they don't want. This is why they're trying to legalize body armor now. Why in the hell would you want to take body armor away? If we should all be scared that at any minute some MAGA freak could walk into a mall and shoot us, wouldn't you be promoting us to wear body armor then so that we could survive? I mean, it's about saving lives, right? This is about saving lives. They got backpacks made of Kevlar for kids that, you know, I mean, it's sad that we live in a world that, you know, you got to buy shit like that for your kids to go to school, but
Right.
You're going to legalize that now? You know, why? Because in an event where maybe they want to lock a city down or a country down and people don't want to, they don't want you to have the ability to push back or protect yourself. They just want you to be sheep. Get in line. Get in the bread line.
I wonder how much of this is just fluff, like I told you.
Mhm.
Because, okay, so say they do pass these new gun regulations, which means every gun sale has to have a background check. Okay, we already established, like, how do they even police that?
Right.
You know, unless it's an undercover that manages to bust somebody on a
Yeah, doing it on the street.
side,
Right.
yeah, side sale, you know, like somehow, you know.
Yeah.
So, what are the? I had told you that I had said that it's almost like it's just fluff. It's like people that just don't know go, oh wow, these Dems did something great, you know, yay, you know,
Yeah.
because you know, Dems vote with their feelings, right?
Right.
You know, liberals, they vote with their feelings, no doubt, right?
Yeah.
So they go, well, next election I'm voting for them because they passed this gun legislation that's
At
gonna
least they
save
did
kids.
something.
Yeah. And then you have Republicans going, well, the legislation they passed really didn't do anything because I've already had to have background checks, right?
Yeah. Which,
Because if they go, like I told you, if they go too hard, they're not going to get reelected in the next cycle. There'll be a massive wave.
and that's why I don't think it's fluff, though. I think it's the systematic, slow, no matter how big the tree is, it'll fell if you chop at it long enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just taking little chops, and the Republicans always give.
Oh, yeah.
And then draw the line. Okay, well we're gonna compromise, but we're gonna stop here, and slowly but surely they're eroding it away. So I think it's
That's the
absolutely
scary part. Is
yeah.
you get used to the new normal, right?
Mhm, exactly.
And you're right. Even if you got a wave of Republicans in there, they're not going to repeal this shit.
Yeah,
they
this
never
should be-
do.
yeah, this should be repealed.
They never do, though.
Nope, they never do.
Whatever gets passed, they get in there and they
They
go
accept it,
along with
and
it.
you know. But if you go any further, yeah, whatever, you know. And you know what? If you take away 2A, you might as well take away 1A, 3A, 4A, 5A, all of them. If one of those rights don't matter, none of them do. Not to mention 2A protects the rest of them. So I don't know. I don't want to live in a world where I can't own a firearm and protect myself. I don't want to live in a world that, you know, I'm not a threat to a mall full of people. You know, you're not a threat to.
That's not what it's about.
grocery store.
You're a threat to the government.
Exactly.
That's what it's
And
about.
that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. They don't give two shits
Nope.
about. They don't
And
give
this is
two
why they made
shits
it
about
hard
any
for
of those deaths. They just
no.
politicize them
That's it.
to get their agenda.
And it's not, and it's because they want to take that independent, I can take care of myself person out of here. You know what I mean? Like, get them out of the pool. This is why they make it hard. They're constantly screwing around with people at backyard farms, some chickens, maybe a goat. Like, they just, because those are the kinds of people that, you know, they're independently thinking, right? Like, they want you to depend on them because that's where their power comes from. It's the need of, oh, please, God, take care of us. That's their authority over us. You know, they're just people. They put their pants on the same way everyone else does every day. But we give them that power, you know? And every time they move the goalpost a little bit and we accept it, we become more and more enslaved to their system. Yeah.
Did you see? Okay, well,
Yeah,
get off of that. I
yeah.
think we beat that dead horse. Did you see this?
Wow. I heard about it a couple times over the last, you know, few years. But
Yeah.
wow. 3
I'll bring this up so people can
Yeah.
see it. So what we're looking at is credit card debt is at the highest it's ever been in history.
Mm-hmm.
$926.2 billion in savings are the lowest they've ever been at history at 3.1%.
Wow. Yeah, I seen they were saying the median income for the average American for savings was $10,000. So even, you know, insuring up to $250,000 was still wealthier people, because the average person had $10,000 in there.
I don't think the average
And
person has
I thought,
10,000.
man, I don't know how many people I really know off the top of my head that actually have $10,000 just sitting in the bank. Like, not a lot of people. But that's what they were reporting anyways. Which still
I
is
could be wrong.
very just disingenuous. Why is it the people who have under $10,000 in the bank have to pay for the people who, you know, had shit tons of money in the bank and just was irresponsible with it and careless and lost it? And, you know, I don't know, the rules just lifestyles of the rich and famous. They live, you know what I mean? Look at Alec Baldwin shot somebody and wasn't even arrested for it, man. Like, shot two people actually, killed one. You know, he's gonna get away with this.
Well, I haven't seen where they're at with that.
Yeah, the charges they seem to get. How would you call little softer and softer as they go, you know? And I think this is why they waited so long to even deal with it, because, you know, it fades out of people's memory. No one's paying attention anymore. You know, had that been you or I, we would have been arrested that day on the spot, thrown in jail, and left there, probably denied bond altogether, and you know, would have been brought up on murder charges. Isn't that what they did to Kyle Rittenhouse? A video of the kid running for his life, people chasing him with guns, assaulting him turning around defending himself on video. And they left him in jail.
I'm having a hard time nailing down some numbers here because these seem little.
Yeah. Ooh. And you know what? Even if people did have $10,000 in the bank, what is $10,000 worth now
I'm sure
that it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago? $10,000 was a hell of a lot more money 10 years ago than it is right now.
I know we got into this before.
Yeah, we looked up some statistics before about like median incomes and savings. I can't remember where you had pulled that data from.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But some of these numbers saying the average person has $62,000 in savings.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Yeah, because right here. So how does it go from $62,000 the average person has
$500
to nearly half of Americans have less than $500 in savings?
That sounds about right.
If that is true, that shows
How
the disparage, right?
Right. Yep. That's, you know, most of the people I know live paycheck to paycheck right now.
Because right here, only 1 in 3 Americans can comfortably cover a $400 emergency expense.
Right.
And this was
Most
January
of the people
24th, 2023.
If their furnace went out, they would have to put it on a credit card or borrow money from the bank to get a new furnace. They wouldn't have the money to just, you know. I know lots of people that get credit cards from the tire company to get new tires on their car.
Yeah.
You know, just to have $1,000 laying around to go buy tires, it's easier just to put it on the credit card and make the payments each month.
So
The world is not in a good place right now.
Yeah.
I think the banking thing, me personally, my feeling on it is I think it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to keep snowballing. I think you're going to see, because they're trapped. Inflation's helped creating this, but inflation is the medicine for it also, right? So they're going to kick it up and down, up and down. I think it's going to be a real shitty year this year. I think it's going to be a rough year. You might see the economy absolutely just crash. We might end up in another Great Depression. I would not give anyone financial advice at all. I'm the last person in the world for someone to take financial advice from, but I would give people advice. Buy some extra canned vegetables, man. Put them on the shelf in the pantry. Put a little extra food away if you can.
It says 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. With my experience with people, that would fit.
I'd have to do more research on this because I know we went through the numbers before. And I assume they say the average just because it's 50% or more.
There's never been a time in my life where I've seen so many crises, however, the potential for complete destruction of the country all at one time. We got biological stuff coming, the new bird flu, 60% mortality rate on that. The economy's crashing, banking's failing, inflation's through the roof. There's food shortages that's starting to pop up. We're on the brink of a nuclear war with Russia. We're on the brink of a real nasty war with China, who I was just listening to a podcast about some new weaponry that they got that are EMP weapons to knock out a real shitty power grid that we have here, which I don't know, that's been being attacked for the last year. I don't know how many power stations have been shot up all over down south. It seems like they're probing it to see.
I just don't know about the China war narrative thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. Because China doesn't really exist without us buying their shit.
See, this is the only thing that I think saves us from China already just giving it to us, is because we buy a lot of their stuff.
Buy all of their stuff. How many businesses only exist in China?
For us.
Yeah, how many businesses wouldn't exist in China if it wasn't for U.S. companies having them build their stuff? Right.
But
that's why I'm confused about
if they want to make this run on Taiwan, I mean, I see a lot of escalation with Russia through the Ukraine and stuff like that. I don't think the government that we have right now, both sides of the aisle, is nearly smart enough to keep us out of a war. I think they would go full force right into it. I think we have, over time, elected a lot of unintelligent people that just lack a lot of common sense and decency. And I think they absolutely would escalate it to the point where, because there's a lot of money in war too, right? You make a lot of money in it.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think China would try to avoid the conflict just because.
I think China would try to avoid annihilating us, right? Like, why use an EMP? I get it, because then you don't have to send over 100,000,000 foot soldiers, and then Americans, we got our guns. So I think that.
What do they produce and sell at that point, though?
Right.
If we're their major consumer.
Well, because the video I was watching, it was they're making deals with other countries now that before they did not. Like, we are pushing our enemies together in alliances. We're pushing off friends to make alliances with our enemies, and we're becoming less and less important, because look if our economy's shit and our dollar's going to crash, we're not going to buy nothing from China anyways, right? So, why not jack us up? And who owns all this farmland in America right now? What are you going to need when you can't just, run to Walmart and buy some canned corn and green beans? Like, you control food, you control people. Boy, it'd be crazy. Half our government is in bed with the Chinese government and sold out us, to China, because I was told that they're part of this bailout too, that they're getting money in this. We're sending money to China, to cover the investments they had in there too. So, Yeah, I could definitely see a scenario where the government's like, hey, China's our friend, and everyone in that family's gotten paid from China. We know a family like that, don't we? I think there's a pretty prestigious family in the U.S. that now they've said almost every person in the family has had a bunch of Chinese money given to them over the last 10 years. Really corrupt. I'm not even going to name the person because everyone already knows who it is. So I could see a scenario where they would, these weak Republicans and Democrats would roll over, show their belly, as long as they, China would say, hey, look, we'll give you a seat at the table, as long as they kept their little bit, we'll make you the magistrate over this area. You know what I mean? You and your family would be taken care of, but Joe Blow in there, they can get in the bread line, and I don't know, man, like. War's always bad, but it's never stopped people from having them.
Mm-hmm. But economies, that's the one thing I'm confused about, like how linked the economies are, though.
Well, okay, so I was watching a documentary on Sparta. I love ancient civilizations, man. I just love to compare the shit they did, 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago to what we do now, and just God, I shake my head sometimes. Like, we have not progressed as a species, but they fought with the Greeks against the Persians, right? Because of this invasion or whatever. So there was this alliance between Athens and Sparta for years, and Sparta ended up weakening themselves. They didn't reproduce good enough. Their population kind of got knocked down a little bit. They couldn't control their slaves, started to outnumber them. They kind of leaned on Athens to help them out a little bit because there's this uprising with the slaves. And then they got paranoid that they didn't want Athens to see how fragile maybe they were, because maybe they would take advantage of it, so they sent them away, which pissed Athens off. They ended up making a deal with the slaves and backing them up. But every one of these wars were with countries that were very well entangled together with treaties and trade and shit like this, and it still did not stop them once they seen weakness in the other one to take it over, to have a war, take it over, annihilate it, wipe them out. Because in the end, it's about power, and I think China wants to be the superpower in the world. They want to supersede us, use their currency. What is it? The yen?
I'm not 100% sure.
To use their currency around the world, which we're already seeing them make deals with Iran and Russia and. To try to promote their currency, right? To get the U.S. dollar, not the petrodollar, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, America's weak right now. We are really weak. I just seen an ad. I kid you not. It was crazy. They are actually, the United States military is soliciting senior citizens. And it showed like a woman that had to be, I don't know, man, in her mid 40s, upper 40s, maybe, with sign-on bonuses, like up to I think it was like up to a $10,000 sign-on bonus or something. You don't think that the other countries around the world see this shit? You know what I mean? Like, they're watching. We're having a war right now over people wanting to wear a tail hanging out of their butt and live in like the Matrix, and people who don't want to live that way or forced to play along, role play in that world, right? Because I think the average conservative person, I think, didn't give a shit. Like, what you did in your own home, do you, man? If you want to be a man and it feels good wearing silk panties, wear silk panties. No one gives a shit. Leave the kids alone, right? But that wasn't good enough. Then it was like, now there's so many different pronouns, like no one can even keep up with this whole new language exploding of Zim, Zerg. I said Zerg. That was from Toy Story. Sorry, Buzz Lightyear. Didn't mean to offend your father. And then they force you to play along with it, right? So the other countries are watching this. A couple years ago, they had videos that they had showed kind of comparing the United States to Russia, which is funny that they used Russia in this because of what ended up happening. But they were recruitment videos for the military, and you see like these super kind of SWAT badass looking guys coming up out of swamp water, you know, with the rifle, and you know they're gonna kill a boar with a knife, and you know cook meat over a fire, and we're warriors, and you know jumping out of planes and shit like that. And then they contrast that with the current solicitation that the United States military was using, and it was a girl talking about being raised with two moms, and it's fine, you know what I mean? Like, that's great, but what the hell does that got to do with the military? Like, they're laughing at us, and that was the whole purpose. They said that, you know, these were cultural bombs dropped on us over the last 20 years, seeds that were planted that now we're getting the fruit from, you know? And it was about weakening us. Because look,
So
if
you
you
think
want purple hair, have purple hair. But you cannot tell me that the purple hair, gender confused, one day like 15 different pronoun person that needs their double mocha latte 3 times a day from Starbucks is going to pick up an AR-15 and go fight the Chinese. Not going to happen.
So your tinfoil hat's telling you that this is intentional from outside
Yes.
to weaken us?
Yes. I absolutely full-heartedly believe that TikTok was poison planted here to help push us off the cliff. And it did. Social media destroyed us, man. Because when you look at how, TikTok's owned by the Chinese, right? And when you look at how Chinese use TikTok and their population, they don't get to do the kind of stuff that, you know, Americans do on TikTok.
That's because they don't have freedom there. They don't have First Amendment there.
That's one reason, yes. And the other reason is they don't want, when it comes to wartime, they want to win.
I don't know. We're gonna get into that story in a second. Though I'm glad that. But before we get there, you sent me a TikTok that I want to play.
Which one was it?
Get to here in a second. What's this? Once I find. Good one. I thought you sent this to me. Maybe you didn't. Maybe someone else sent it to me. It's being a little slow. I promise we'll get there, folks.
Yeah.
It's
Technical difficulties.
yeah. I didn't know we were gonna go here.
Mm-mm.
I would have.
I had no idea.
I would have had it.
Excuse me.
Okay, I believe we have it. Let's try this.
Said, Dad, guess which is it? Is it NBA or NFL?
Oh yeah, I sent you that one.
36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly been bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71, I repeat, 71 cannot get a credit card due to their bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. How many of you think NBA? How many of you think NFL? Well, the answer is neither. It's the 435 members of the United States Congress.
Boom.
Said, Dad, guess which is...
Truth bomb there, man.
Just normal people.
Yeah.
Just normal people.
And I know, like, we put them on pedestals, like, we think they're so much smarter than we are, and they're just people, man. You know? And they get corrupted, like...
So, You were talking about China,
Yeah.
TikTok. A few episodes ago, I had heard someone's take on this whole TikTok thing. And it might be the overwhelming attack on TikTok always seems suspicious, on the surface, right? And I'd heard someone say, this is possibly Silicon Valley, the big US-based social media companies getting their asses handed to them by a foreign social media company. So their ad money, all their profits are getting sucked up by this one giant. So what better to do than try to get them banned, outlawed, whatever, right?
Right.
Well, then I hear a story the other day that the Biden administration is ramping up pressures against popular video sharing app TikTok, threatening to ban the app if Chinese-based ByteDance doesn't sell its stake.
Right.
Who's going to buy that stake? It wouldn't happen to be a U.S.-based social media company, would it? That could absorb those profits? If they couldn't get it canceled, what better way than to force them to sell it, and we'll buy it up?
I agree 100%. There's more corruption in that.
If it's all about privacy and data harvesting, the social media companies we use now are just as guilty
Absolutely.
of harvesting our data and our privacy as TikTok is. So all of a sudden it's going to fix it by them buying it when they're doing the same shit?
Right.
I don't know. I think this is deeper. I think someday
it
it's
is
going
a lot
to
deeper.
Someday this is going to come out that, because you were saying about, well, the Chinese don't allow their citizens to use TikTok the way U.S. citizens do. Well, the U.S. citizens use TikTok the same way they do Instagram or Facebook or
Right, but there's
name it
algorithms
social
that's
media.
built in there that's meant to kind of lead you down paths, right? You see it in your feeds and all the other social medias too, that it's all a bit of programming. We're being programmed the more we use this
We're
stuff.
going to get into this again.
Yeah, we're still going to have the
Man.
same argument we've been having forever. But
It asked me when I signed up what my interests were, and I told it outdoors, comedy, entertainment. I told it what my interests are. Based on what I like and what I view, it's going to give me more of that.
right.
So I'm still choosing what I like. If I give it a thumbs up, that means I want to see more of this. If I continue to watch this content, it's going to give me more. I know what you're saying, that it seemed, yes.
Because
Certain-
they built it in with like Tim Pool did a really good breakdown on it once. That was like, especially in the early time when they were starting to develop these algorithms, like they started to figure out like clickbait, right? And like police brutality was a thing.
Right.
It would get a lot of clicks, but then they noticed that if it was a black person shot by the police, they got double the clicks, because then you have racism and police brutality. So they started to highlight these videos, people seen it more and more, and over time it created a narrative. So the brainwashing of this does.
But those people want to have something to be outraged about. They were going to be outraged about something. That was just something.
But we've all, me and you, have fallen for the police brutality videos where we've seen them, and me and you have watched them and said, oh my God, we can't believe the cops did that. And then a month later, the rest of the video comes out and you're like, well, okay, this isn't exactly what we thought it was, you know?
Right, but my feed isn't full of that.
I get a lot of goofy shit in my feeds, that
My feed's like
stuff I don't click
bow
on.
shooting, it's reaction videos to funny comedy where someone will just listen to something that's reacting, laughing. It's
I definitely believe that you can.
I think people that want to be outraged about something are looking for that, and of course the algorithm's going to feed them what they want to see. It just happens to be, again, they were going to be outraged about something. It just happens to be this one thing.
Right, but now you have groups of people, segments of the population, that believe that there's cops all over the country hunting down black people and shooting them.
Well, that part of that's corporate media too, pushing that narrative.
Exactly,
it's not
but it's
even
the
social
narrative.
media.
You get it. Well, social media, corporate media. It's, you know, they're all ran by the government now, right? So I can see in my life where it's persuaded the way people view stuff. Like, there's shit that happens now that, 20 years ago never would have been accepted. And I think
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't see it.
I think society
To that
evolves
level.
anyways, but we've evolved a lot faster because of this stuff, because of what it's, I don't know. I think that, to go back to the original point anyways, because we're going to debate this till hell freezes over, I think the country's in a really weak state right now, and there's a lot of people that want to be king of the mountain.
I'm not denying that one
And
bit.
right now would be a really good time to kind of knock us down a peg or two. And I don't know, man.
I find your theory interesting about the outside influences
Yeah.
possibly trying to weaken us. I find it interesting.
Yeah, because I think, you know what, we do it. Well, we destabilize governments all the time. We have been doing it for the last 50 years. Before we go in and fight someone, we start, littering the place with pamphlets of this and that, and get the population to turn against their governments. It's propaganda wars. Propaganda works. That's why every country in the world uses it. Yeah, I believe that there's been seeds that's been planted over the last while in the country that was just made to just slowly kind of chew away, just nip, so that you don't notice it. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, how the hell did we get here? How did this happen? And that's a question I've asked myself multiple times. I got my feed up now for YouTube, and the first one's that chick that it's a Tim Pool video, but I've seen it on a different channel, and she starts stripping right in the middle of the gym, and oh my God, why are you looking at me, you pig, and she starts just nailing on this guy. And he walks over and he's like, look, man, if you're going to be rude, you can leave. And she's like, whatever. And she's adjusting herself, trying to be all cute in front of her little homemade video. And come to find out, she goes, what, you own the gym? He goes, no, but I work here, and I can have you thrown out for trespassing. She goes, well, do it. And he goes, well, I'm going to call the police. She goes, good. Well, he does. And she got hit with the trespassing, and she lost her gym membership for it. But then when you dig into her, she's got OnlyFans, right? So here's a girl selling pictures of her ass all over the world. Like, this is what society's turned into. And I watch this shit and I'm like, wow, how did this happen?
It's unfortunate because it became trendy for girls to go in the gym, wear almost nothing, and then a guy looks in her direction, she films him like outraged that, oh, this guy keeps looking at me every time I bend over.
Right.
And it's even got me to the point now in the gym, like, I'm just looking down at the ground all the time because I'm afraid some freaking girl.
Right.
Like today, over on the cable machine, I wanted to use one side of it, and this girl and these two guys are using both sides of the cable machine, and instead of them just being on one side and switching the bar out for their different deals they wanted to do, they had a different bar on each side, and they kept switching back and forth. So I kept looking over there to see if it was open or not.
Right.
And twice I saw her looking at me, and I'm like, oh great, is she gonna fucking film me and assume I'm looking at her because I'm just looking at
reputation. You're a pig.
Right, because I'm just looking in that direction to see if they're freaking
because
done.
masculinity is bad now.
But because she can get clicks is what I'm saying.
Right, but she gets clicks because masculinity's bad.
No, she was working out with two other guys.
You
That's
shouldn't
not the point.
it's
the point that three people should not be sharing two pieces of
Right.
equipment. They should just take two bars and just switch it out on one piece of equipment to free
But
up
a
the
lot
other
of these
side.
videos, they're shaming guys for looking. You should not be look. You shouldn't have testosterone.
No,
Don't look at the woman.
no. You're
Right?
missing. You're missing it. You are missing it. You're overthinking this. They still want the attention from guys looking at them, but they want the clicks. They want the clicks.
What I'm saying, this whole,
online.
but the people that are clicking it. See, you're misunderstanding me. I understand. She does. She's selling pictures of her naked ass. She
and
obviously
then she's
wants
making
attention.
money on
And then she's
YouTube
getting the clickbait
from
for this, right?
people being outraged at
But the people that
trying
are
to-
outraged, these are the ones that are
Oh,
constantly, you
right.
in the gym can't look at an attractive woman anymore because you're a pig. Since when in the, has that been wrong? To admire a beautiful woman? Isn't that what a healthy, testosterone-filled man's supposed to do? Politely, respectfully, but there should be nothing wrong with looking at a beautiful person and going, wow, she's beautiful. Women do it. Wow, he's a handsome guy, you know? But here's the problem I have with this. If I'm in the gym and I see some girl stripping her clothes off and setting her camera up, I might look because I don't want to be filmed. So I might be looking to say, hey, is she going to catch me in the background here? You know, because I'm a fat guy. Like, I don't want, like, to be on her video of my gut jiggling around and shit. You know, my man boobs sweating, right? Why are you looking at me, you pig, man?
I think they should
You know?
ban all cell phones
That's
on
it.
the gym floor.
No more
This is the other
video.
problem. I wanted to get on a piece of equipment yesterday,
Yeah.
and I walked over there 3 times, and all 3 times the guy's just sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
On
Playing
his
on
cell
the phone.
phone.
Yep.
And I stood there for like, I watched my watch. It was 2 minutes
Yeah.
each time I walked over there. And he's sitting on the bench on his cell phone. I'd walk
Yeah.
away, I'd go use another piece of equipment, come back, see if he's done yet. 3 times I came back. And all 3 times he's still on his cell phone.
Right. Just to be there to work
tying
out.
up a piece of equipment.
Yep.
I don't take my cell phone on the floor. I got my music on my watch. I know not everybody has a watch that has music on it, but figure it out, because this is ridiculous.
You know what? There's pockets
and
in
this
your
is-
workout
this-
clothes, right? They got little pockets, so and even in
I cannot tell you how many
Okay.
times I wanted to use a piece of equipment and
Mm-hmm.
someone's sitting there just texting. I get taking a break because I pause my workout, I do my 30-second, 1-minute
Sure.
break, I get back to working out. But this is beyond 1 minute
Right.
of rest time.
this is craziness what's going on right now. So I say ban it all, or you know, like no setting on a piece of equipment, texting someone. Like, you're there to work out. If you're not going to use equipment, go. Let
Right.
someone else use it. You know, if you got your phone in your pocket, so your Bluetooth into your earbud, your music or something, because not everyone's got a smart watch. Fine. You know, like I don't care about that, but absolutely no videoing. This
Yeah,
videoing
yeah.
shit, so it's out of control, ridiculous, and the man shaming that is happening around this country. But again, this plays into the bigger narrative. Beat men down, make them afraid to be men. They're not gonna fight back.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's just people trying to get clicks. Just trying.
I think her herself is, yes.
Not only her, I've
She's trying
seen
to
multiple
get
of these videos.
Right.
These women
That's what I'm saying. The woman
so
herself,
outraged. It's like,
it's about clicks. She's being programmed that, you know, you want these likes. You got to get these likes. Then she's got her OnlyFans, so she's, you know, making money in this fake outrage. But I'm saying that the bigger narrative of it is, I think these girls have been manipulated into this kind of shit, even though sincerely they're about clickbait. I think there's the shadowy shit in the background that's about just getting rid of men.
yeah.
Like, this is why, you know what, you cannot talk shit about anyone in the world except the straight man. You know, especially a straight white man. Ooh, you could say all kinds of shit about him. No one's gonna ban you for that. You know, but and it's not even about a white guy. It's about just masculine men. They don't want it. And that you just watching them get beat down. Man shaming is just terrible now. And you know, when I was young, like I was man, you know, I've never had someone that was in a relationship with me that was have to get up and pump her own gas.
Let's go back to that just for 1 second about the racist aspect.
Yeah.
Because not once in the gym have I had a black person be rude to me. Every time, you know, I've
Right.
gone up, hey, you done? Yeah, man,
Right.
go ahead, take it. You know, it's yours. And today, I was telling my wife, it was so cool. I was in the gym, I was in the locker room, and I always get a locker right next to the mirror. There's a little shelf, so I can put my
Right.
padlock up there and, you know, my deodorant, my water bottle while I'm getting shit out. That's right in front of the mirror. And so I was done working out, and I had my jeans on, but I didn't have my shirt on yet. And I saw a guy in my peripheral standing right next to me, but you know, I'm in my bag and shit. And he goes, I'm not being racist here. I'm just saying it exactly the way this gentleman said it to me. Okay, so fucking relax
Yeah,
out there.
deal with it.
Okay. He goes, damn, bro, sick ink. And I looked, and it was this black guy, and he was, 20 to 25. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, thanks, dude, because I got, and he pulled his shirt off, dude, and he was tatted all the way out to his neck. I go, damn, dude, I got a long ways to go. He goes, yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
He goes, I got a little more work to do.
It's
Completely cool. No racial tension there.
No, and listen, the white hate is not from black people. The white hate is from white people, white women.
But the
mostly.
media would lead you to believe that we're all
Sure.
in this strife,
Right.
there's
because
all this racial
want,
tension.
They want that, right?
Right.
Because, in the middle of everyone fighting over on TikTok and all this other social media shit, you're not paying attention to how much money's going to the Ukraine or to big banks or big pharma or big anything else. You're not paying attention to the shit that's going around the world that we need to be paying attention to, because we're being distracted into this fake bullshit that doesn't exist.
Right.
Racism
And it was-
is a big movement, has been gone for, look, man, I've worked in chemical plants, shops, you've worked in shops, I've worked in service. There's been people of every background, creed, race, culture, and we've all gotten along fine. We've all sat in the same break room telling jokes, talking about our families and, whatever. I've never seen what they try to paint. Has never been my experience. Like, it just didn't matter. No one gave a shit what color you were. No one cared. We're just the guys there making a living, right? Doing work. Guys and girls just working.
And I'm the most courteous person in the gym too, because I feel like that's a big family. Like, we're all there for a common goal. We're all trying to be healthier,
Yeah.
right?
That's cool.
And outside of like the person texting on their phone,
Yeah.
or today with those people tying up that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Any other
I
time,
was afraid you were going to tell me they had the GoPro mounted to it or something. I was waiting for it. Just going, are you kidding me, really?
No, but seeing these videos made me
Yeah.
think, like, oh God,
Right.
is this woman gonna think I'm looking
Sure.
at her just because of the way she's dressed, and
Right.
she's gonna film me?
And there
Look
is
at the street vote.
100 other reasons that are innocent that you could be looking at her other than admiring her physically.
Like I said, I was just looking to see if they're
And then
done
they're-
with this equipment
They're
yet.
barely. Why? I'm watching her undressed
it
in the
could have
video.
either- but
Why
it-
didn't she do that in the
Dressing room,
the
the
dressing
locker
room?
Yeah.
In the locker room, and then come out in her shit? Why do this big event? Because, like you said, she's baiting people to look at her so that she could do her fake outrage to get her clicks to fund her.
This woman could have easily videoed me just in a clip. It would have looked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because 3 times I looked over there to see if they were done.
Yeah.
Look, like shit. Are they done yet? She could have easily taken a snapshot 3 different times. Oh, look at this creepo
So
checking me out.
you're looking because you're waiting to get access to the equipment. You could be looking because you're curious, like, wow, she's setting up a video camera. Like, am I going to get caught in the background? Should I move to a different area where, you could be watching, like, ooh, she looks like she might need some help. Or you could be just watching her form because you're interested in doing, like, okay, well, let me compare how she's doing this, with my form. Okay, so that's how she's doing her squats. Like, okay, I get it. Like, maybe I need to like tighten my back up a little bit more or something. I'm just saying, like, there is a tremendous amount of reasons why someone would look at. If you don't want people watching you, don't go to a public gym. Put one in your fucking basement. Problem solved. You could go down there and work out naked and sell that on your OnlyFans. There you go. You heard it here first, guys. $1 million idea. I don't have a penny to start it with. Shit. Naked fat guys on OnlyFans working out, right? So this is stupid. But I figured you would appreciate it, being the gym rat that you are. Like, I knew, like, you would have some
I haven't
thoughts
seen
on
it.
this.
I'll have to watch this. I haven't
That's
watched
what's
this
it. But and
particular
then she
video.
stands there like adjusting her bottoms and her top, and it's like it's just ridiculous. It is so fake. And she was just rude to this guy. And I think in the beginning they narrate it, like they put up the closed caption of what's being said. But I think it all started with him saying, "Do you need help?" Oh, heaven forbid you ask someone if they need help.
And we also have to be honest too. I'm sure there are women that have been,
sexually harassed?
sexually
Oh,
harassed
God,
in
yeah.
gyms, right?
Come on,
So I'm
man.
sure
I told you we worked in plants and
it had
shops,
to
and,
have happened
men are
at some
pigs.
point, right?
and that's what I said. You
So
know,
I'm
if
sure-
you want to
I'm
look
sure
at
this
someone
is-
politely, sure,
This is the overcompensation, right?
absolutely.
But I don't think it's.
But there's gotta
I
be some
don't. I don't think.
Right?
I don't think this is the rule. I think those are the exceptions. Right. I think
because now
I look
how
around.
are you supposed to approach someone, man? If you are single, you're in the gym working out, and then there's some girl comes in there, and she's working out, she's healthy. You go, okay, man, we got this in common. This is what I was looking for. Man, I kind of want to ask her out. I'm checking her out a little bit. Maybe keep looking at her, catch. Maybe she'll look over and I can smile and see if I get any sort of opening. Now I'll walk over. You can't even do that now. Now, how are you supposed to meet anybody? Like, since when is it criminal to smile at a girl to try to get her attention because you want to ask her out on a date? That doesn't make you a creep because you're interested in her. It's a compliment to her,
Well,
as long as you're not being a pig about it, right?
You remember what happened to my wife last weekend at the
Yeah.
gas station?
Yep.
Was I upset? Was she upset?
No. And my thought was, look, if I'm with someone that's attractive, and I walked, I know how men look, and they do, right? And it's a compliment to me. As long as they're being polite about it, don't be a pig. If you're a pig, yeah, something not very pleasant.
Yeah, you don't. If he had touched her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or been like
But
disgusting. He gave her a compliment.
I went, good for that guy.
Yeah. He gave her a compliment.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
She appreciated the compliment because she works out hard at the gym.
Right.
So it's like, well,
No,
the hard
nothing
work
wrong with
doesn't
that.
go unnoticed, right? I wasn't upset.
I was just dealing with the.
What was my word? What did I say?
Yeah.
I said, good for that guy
Yep.
for having the balls.
to even say that.
Yeah.
Because nowadays it's scary, man.
Yeah.
You can go to prison for that,
Yeah.
right? I was just dealing with a clerk and there was like the product I wanted, they were supposed to have. She didn't have it there. She was trying to figure out how to order it. It was a big, clumsy mess for a while. She was adorable. She's cute. I mean, really cute. And I could tell she was embarrassed and she got apologetic. And I said, no. You know what? Don't worry about it. It's okay. For one, I wasn't in that big of a hurry. And I try to not get wound up about every little thing in life. And I laughed and I said, you mind a compliment? She goes, no. And I said, it's been fun. The interaction's been fun. You're adorable. And she said, oh my God, thank you. And I left. You know what I mean? I didn't stalk her. It was harmless. It was just a nice compliment. She was adorable. And it was a pleasant, there was a lot of joking around back and forth. Well, she was making a mess out of this thing and I was laughing about it and she was laughing about it. Well, what's the alternative? Stand there like an ass, pissed off. Oh, come on. Like, really? You're supposed to have it? Don't you know how to do your job? Come on. Oh, let me get the video camera out and film this now. Like, this is stupid. It's the world. I don't know, man. Like, I knew we were going to record this, and there was a moment where I was just sitting on the couch trying to just take it all in and just kind of defragment a little bit, for decompress, I think is a better word, trying to decompress for a second. And I thought, God, I'm just losing my faith in humanity sometimes. Like, the world is so backwards. Like, and how can anyone look at that and say it's better? It's better when you can't talk to someone. It's better when liberals and conservatives can't have an open, honest conversation and debate something back and forth, maybe change one or each other's minds. It's wrong in the world where a guy talks to a girl because he thinks she's pretty. Like, how did we get here? There you go.
We can't agree to disagree anymore, right?
Right.
You and I do it.
Yeah. We agree on half the stuff. We disagree on half the stuff. Then half the time we move one or the other to that argument because we're thoughtful people that are trying to improve, right? Like, I don't know everything. You don't. Both of us have openly claimed that. we put ourselves out in social media open and honestly, like vulnerable to beat hell about this. Like, we don't know. We're just trying to figure it out. And we thought maybe it'd be interesting if people watched us struggle trying to figure it out. Because, you know, I watch a lot of professionals, and sometimes it's just kind of noise. And I thought, man, it'd be kind of neat to just watch a couple normal people try to figure this shit out. Because me and you, the stuff we talk about is the same shit that normal people are talking about all over the place.
Right.
In the same way, right? Like, we'll get comments.
It's just our
you don't know what you're talking about, by some guy that went to some Ivy League school in economics, right? Well,
Right.
I didn't. And I'm not going to pretend like I have some master's degree in that shit. I'm not a banker. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a normal person and this is how so you could try to insult me by saying that all you want, but it doesn't, because I've never claimed to be that.
What it comes down to is just everybody's talking primarily about the same stuff.
Right.
It's just people like to hear people's take on it. How do they digest it? What do they think about said topic, right?
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to.
Right.
There's not a lot of difference between what Joe Rogan talks about, what Tim Pool talks about, what PBD podcast
No, a lot
talk
of times
about.
they're all similar,
right.
you
It's
know?
just people like to hear people's different take on
Right.
said subject.
And I'll watch
So that
4
comes
different
down-
shows
Right.
on the same subject, because I like to watch, you know, Matt Walsh break it down his way, Tim Pool break it down his way, Rogan break it down a different way, you know, Luke Rogowski break it down a different way, because they all have unique ways of viewing it, and I'm trying to.
ABL?
ABL, I watch all the time, man. I love ABL. The guy's smart as hell. Do I agree with everything he says? No, not everything.
All these people are pretty much talking about the same thing,
Yeah.
and we're digesting the same thing. It's just, I think people like to, like you said, I want to hear 5 different people talk about this thing so I can form my own opinion.
Right. Because I'm
Not be
taking
told,
fragments from
not
it
be
all.
told
Yeah, believe this.
what my opinion's going to be.
Right.
Right.
And that's why I said a podcast or so ago, I'd rather be an idiot than a sheep. If that's my choice, I'll take idiot any day. I never said I wasn't an idiot. I'm a redneck, son. I'm the epitome of idiot.
What do you think?
I think that was a good show.
All right.
That went a little longer than I even meant to. So
That's all right.
yeah,
Flushed out a bunch of ideas.
hopefully people found some enjoyment in it.
Yep.
You know.
All right. Be kind to each other
Thanks,
out there.
guys.